This podcast is brought to you by Renewal by Andersen of Central Pennsylvania. Right now, you can get any Renewal by Andersen of Central Pennsylvania window or door at 20% off. No money down, no payments, no interest for a year. Call 717-727-7558 or head to rbacentralpa.com/deals before this deal ends on September 30th. The Philadelphia area has seen a total of 22 Rite Aids close. In Pittsburgh, Airbnbs will have to get permits and undergo inspections. A news outlet CEO wants fair pay for local publications. Lastly, here are the best cities to be a ghost. I'm Claudia Dimuro, and you're listening to Today in a PA. According to the union that represents the store's employees, 22 Rite Aids have closed in the Philadelphia area over the past year, reports the Philadelphia Inquirer. And there may be more closures to come. The chain's currently over $3.3 billion in debt and has about 1,000 lawsuits against it, claiming it oversupplied opioids. As a result, Rite Aid proposed a bankruptcy plan that involves closing up to 500 stores in 17 states, although final plans haven't officially been announced. Owners of Airbnbs and other rental properties in Pittsburgh will need to go through a permitting and inspection process, reports the Tribune Review. The City Council unanimously passed these requirements via legislation this week as a way to regulate these properties. Under this bill, rental owners will have to provide information on each unit, like addresses, and would have to apply for a permit each year. Units will be inspected once every 3 years. What the fee for these permits will be is still up in the air, but the program will most likely be rolled out early next year. Trip Total Media president and CEO Jennifer Bertetto dropped by the White House on Wednesday, states the Tribune Review. The reason for this visit was to push for legislation, called the Journalism Competition and Preservation Act, that would let local news outlets negotiate for fair compensation from large digital platforms that use their content, like Google and Facebook. Google, for example, takes as much as 70% of the revenue from digital advertising of news stories, leaving publishers with just the remaining 30%. The implementation of this legislation, argued Bertetto previously, would allow for outlets that cater to smaller communities to survive. The bill did pass the last congressional session, but it still has a bit of a ways to go. If you're a ghost to listening to this podcast, here's some good news for you, says PennLive. Also, thank you for taking the time out of your afterlife to listen. Anyway, for all you spirits looking to relocate, Upgraded Points conducted and published a study that sought to find the best cities to be a ghost in. Researchers looked at things like number of vacant units, cemeteries, etc. in the U.S.'s 100 most populated cities, placing Scranton in the second overall spot. Pittsburgh also scored 5th overall, too, if you want to keep your options open. The number 1 best city in the country for ghosts, though, was Springfield, Massachusetts. Here's to your next haunt. That wraps up today's episode. For all the latest news, visit PennLive.com. Also, please remember to rate this podcast in either Apple or Amazon, and to email me at todayinpa@PennLive.com with any thoughts you may have. Thanks ahead of time, and as always, thank you for listening. I'm Claudia Dimuro, and I'll talk to you during Friday's episode of Today in a PA. This podcast is brought to you by Renewal by Andersen of Central Pennsylvania. Right now, you can get any Renewal by Andersen of Central Pennsylvania window or door at 20% off. No money down, no payments, no interest for a year. Call 717-727-7558 or head to rbacentralpa.com/deals before this deal ends on September 30th.